Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC on Fox 3. It was a really good night of fights. I thought. I mean, there's some fights were just all right. A lot of them are pretty exciting. They had stuff I've never seen before, and I thought the main card was very strong as well. A lot of finishes there. A lot of guys shut me up. I mean, Nate Diaz shut me up. Alan Belcher, LeVar Johnson. I mean, they definitely, I thought they would lose in certain areas, but they won in the areas that I thought they would lose in. So yeah, I was shut up. My hat's off to those guys. My picks were not very good. I just realized I have a really bad track record when it comes to UFC on Fox fights. I want to say, I know the first one I did really bad. This one, 5 of 7. There's a lot of close fights. There's some really good matchmaking in general here, though, too. Let's just get started. Nate Diaz beat Jim Miller by submission. First time that Jim Miller has ever been finished. Nate Diaz beat him on the feet. He didn't get taken down. That in the clinch, it was actually Diaz was doing arguably better in the clinch than Miller on the ground. Diaz had the advantage and won with the choke. I mean, what can I picked against him. I thought that Miller would take it to the ground and win by top control like other guys have done, like Dong Hyun Kim, Joe Daddy Stevenson, Clay Guida. Didn't happen this time, Nate just proved me wrong. Nate's reach was a little too much for Miller, and he won on the ground too with a very slick guillotine choke. I mean, it was very, very slick. It's off a sprawl, if I'm not, or a sprawled position, like a front headlock, kind of like a sprawl position. This is a really good win. It's a very good performance from Nate Diaz. Honestly, made me a believer that he is a very legit challenger to the lightweight title, whether he fights Frankie Edgar or Benson Henderson. I'm definitely interested in seeing what he can do. Against one of the title challengers. His length is going to be a problem for people. His chin is insane. His cardio is good. I don't know. I haven't seen anyone. I don't know if Ben Henderson or Frankie Edgar would just try and go for the legs and shoot doubles and singles on Diaz. Never know. But obviously Diaz is very strong on the ground as well. It's really good win for him. I can't stress it enough. I really thought, that he'd be taken down and lose on the ground, and instead he wins on the ground. So that's what happened. Jim Miller, he's just that guy that gets to that one, he gets to that one fight where he can, one more win, he challenges for the title and he loses. He's lost to top fighters, Nate Diaz, Benson Henderson, Gray Maynard, Frankie Edgar. No shame in losing to those guys, but, he's always one fight away from fighting the title, and he just cannot pass that hump. It's unfortunate because he's a very well-rounded fighter, but, he can't get over a certain point. It's really kind of just, give him more top 10 guys. He's a top 10 fighter. But, it's like back to the drawing board with Jim Miller here. Great win for Diaz. Next fight after that, Johnny Hendricks beat Josh Koscheck by split decision. Gonna be honest here, I kind of thought Josh Koscheck actually won the fight. I thought he won rounds 1 and 3, to be perfectly honest with you. Good win for... I guess there's an argument for it, because as far as damage goes, I'm pretty sure Johnny Hendricks did a lot more damage than Koscheck did to Hendricks. So, thinking about it now, maybe I'll change, but it's not like Pierce Koscheck where it kind of came off like a robbery, you know? Like, if they said Koscheck won, I wouldn't have been like, oh, that's a robbery, you know? One thing about Hendricks, one thing that's interesting with here, too, is Koscheck just lost. What's he going to do now? Does he just fight more up-and-comers? Is he get the loser of Ellenberger versus Campman, I guess? You know what I mean? I mean, he's just going to fight more top guys and be that test for these up-and-comers, you know, the Mike Pierces, Johnny Hendricks, maybe Ellenberger, maybe he'll fight Condit down the line, maybe Rory McDonald, you know. I guess, because that's really what he's good for, to be honest, at this point in his career. I mean, you lost twice to GSP, you know, you just lost to Hendricks. You don't have much, you know, he doesn't have much else besides an over and right and a takedown. You know, I mean, really. That's the thing. Johnny Hendricks, good one for him. He's finding home for those lefts, but man, he kept going back to the well with those lefts too. It wasn't good. And dropping his right hand while throwing those lefts. I think out of all the up-and-comers in the division, like Rory McDonald, Jake Ellenberger, you know, he's definitely the one that probably needs the most work. Consider, you know, along the lines of those two specifically, if you want to put like Eric Silva there or something like that, you can. Or even Condit there, I guess. But he definitely needs the most work. It's just over-relying on the left. His takedowns are really good. I really like his wrestling. He's able to put Koscheck on his butt a couple times. I think what probably makes sense, I mean, he beat Fitch and now Koscheck. I mean, you cannot deny these wins. These are good wins, you know. I guess he can rematch like Rick Story or something like that. No, I think Hendricks is above Story now. I'd say the winner of Ellenberger Campman would make a lot of sense. Jeez, I'm trying to think of other top guys he can fight that aren't champions. Diego Sanchez, maybe. Geez, it has to be someone like up there. Let's see. Geez, I can't. Maybe Roy McDonald. Roy McDonald, Johnny Hendricks would be pretty interesting. Or the winner of Campman versus Ellenberger. Like I said with Hendricks, he needs a lot of work. He's over relying on his left hand. He has a good chin. He has a really good chin, and he has strong wrestling. But yeah, he definitely needs a lot of work there. Yep. Now we got to shut me up here. Alan Belcher beat Husmar Paulos by TKO in the first round. I thought Husmar would take it to the ground, and once it hits the ground, you know, Paulos would win. Guess what? Belcher won on the ground. You know, they played footsies. Belcher managed to escape all the leg lock attempts. Great on Belcher, man. You know, he used to have a really big weakness in the ground. Now he doesn't. So that's really interesting. So, you know, he's definitely going to break into the top 10 now. As far as opponents go, like the winner of Bosch Bisbing is really good. He has well-rounded skills now. I mean, you can't deny it. 2 wins in a row by ground and pound. Very good ground and pound, too. He did to Jason McDonald and now to Pajares. So, good stuff for Belcher. You know, I really thought that if it hit the ground that Belcher would be in trouble. But no, he ground and pounded him to win, you know. To win. Played the jiu-jitsu game with him. I mean, just a great win for Belcher, you know. Definitely show up guys like me and other guys that doubted his ground skills and whatnot. Good win. He's definitely looked like a guy that's going to challenge for the title eventually, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of good fights. A lot of good fights are happening in middleweight too, so, you know, good stuff there. And finally on the main card, LeVar Johnson beat Pat Barry at TKO in the first round. I I thought Pat Barry would be the better striker here, and guess what? LeVar Johnson was. Once again, it's just one of those things where I thought the kicks would do a lot more. Johnson was walking through those kicks. Cole and Barry to go for a takedown to side control. He actually had mount, then he went to side control. So, that's the thing. It was just good win for Johnson. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought for some reason. The thing is, too, it looks like Pat Barry took the fight to the ground because LeVar was beating him up in the stand-up. Do not have LeVar Johnson in front of you with your back against a cage. That's the rule with LeVar Johnson these days. Really good win for Johnson here. His uppercuts are lethal. When he throws punches, he throws with, he throws with some really bad intentions. I'm thinking the winner of Struve Hunt for him. If not that, the winner of Herman Nelson would actually be pretty cool as well. The thing with Johnson, his ground game's really bad. I think Pat Barry had a bunch of opportunities to pass to Mount and didn't. I know a couple of LeVar's losses are to submission as well. On to the prelims. Michael Johnson beat Tony Ferguson by unanimous decision. Man, good game plan for Michael Johnson. I picked Tony Ferguson to win. I thought this is another case of I'm really high on Michael Johnson as a prospect. But Tony, and a lot of people are high on Tony Ferguson as a prospect. Excuse me. But, Johnson, his kicks were finding a home. His left hand was in Tony Ferguson's face all day. His stand-up just looked really improved. I liked what I saw. Tony seemed to be a little too content. Counter-punching as well. I think that was another problem for Ferguson there. Really stops the momentum for Ferguson as well. A lot of people are looking at this guy as a prospect that can definitely get up there. And, I think there's some warning signs with the Eve Edwards fight. But now, he lost to Michael Johnson here, who's still only like 24 and 25 and is really rounding out his game. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Michael Johnson can do in the future. Tony Ferguson, on the other hand, good fighter. I think he might, unless he passes the hump, or this bump, there's kind of a concern that he's going to be stuck in the mid tiers of lightweight. Someone like Thiago Tavares is, for example. Could happen to him. It's really tough to say at this point. I'd have to see how he rebounds. I think Tavares or Holman would be a good fight for him. Same with Michael Johnson, actually. I think, that's the thing. Some more like mid-tier guys for these guys would be really good. I really was impressed with Michael Johnson here. Next fight after that, John Dodson beat Tim Elliott by unanimous decision. Tim Elliott had this fight was just everywhere, man. I was seeing front rolls. I was seeing weird switch kicks. I was seeing spinning kicks. Yeah, this fight was all over the place. A lot of that's due to Tim Elliott. Dodson was the better technical striker, probably a faster puncher. His left hand has some dynamite in it. Unfortunately, it seemed like he injured it in the third round. This really goes to show, this and the Godinez fight really goes to show what the 125ers can do. It's really hard to say where 125ers go next. You got to say Dodson versus Godinez, I guess. And Elliott versus Lineker. Maybe, I know Uyeno Yama's around as well. It's tough to say where you go next because they really need to build the division. Next fight after that, John Hathaway beat Pascal Scross by unanimous decision. good win for Hathaway. I liked what I saw from him. His stand-up was solid. His really good knees. He'd take down Krause as well. He really turned it on in the end of the third round. It looks like he was about to finish the guy. I think Hathaway is just a little too much for Pascal at this point of his career. With Hathaway, he beat Chris McRae before this. So, definitely put him back in the mix. He did lose to Mike Pyle. He's a very respectable veteran. I think Hathaway needs to work on his jiu-jitsu, though. When he's put on his back, he looks a little like a fish out of water, to be perfectly honest. He needs to work on that. Otherwise, I liked what I saw from his striking. As far as he should fight next, he's a tough one to say, Maybe like a Sayar. I'm thinking more mid-tier with him. The winner of Ebersol Wahlberger, maybe, but that's kind of high for him at this point. With Krause, just back to the drawing board, lower tier of the division. With Hathaway, maybe the winner of Hardy versus Ludwig or something. It's hard to say, man. It's really hard to say. Okay, next one I thought Luis Garinot beat John. I say Lineker. I think it's Lineker or something like that. By guillotine choke in second round. Cool finish, cool fight, man. Especially in the first couple minutes where they're just trading punches. Good stuff here, man. Just really fun fight. I thought Lineker was the better striker, to be honest. Whereas Garinot was better on the ground. And the better wrestler too. That's kind of how I saw the fight. Once again, it's really hard to say where 125ers go from here, but really fun fight. And as far as that, Danny Castillo beat John Cholis by unanimous decision. I was really wrong about this fight. I was really keeping an eye out for Cholis, but he really showed his inexperience here. His striking just didn't look there. All there, he just looked like a guy that needs to really get more cage time, to be honest. You see, it's really interesting right now because he's got off a 3-fight win streak. I think over Bailey and Jokamwani and now Cholis. So it's really interesting where he goes. His striking has always been a bit wild. He has good wrestling. Trains at a good camp in the alpha male. He lost to Volkman. It's really hard to say where he goes because he's kind of like that mid-tier guy at lightweight that's getting a win streak. Maybe him versus Michael Johnson would be good. Cholis, just right back to the drawing board with him. He needs to work on his striking a lot and just integrating his takedown game as well. That's the thing. And on the final Fuel TV bout was Dennis Bermudez beating Pablo Garza by unanimous decision. Bermudez would slam Garza to the mat at will, man. His ground and pound was just all over Garza's face, Garza, he kept throwing submission attempts and whatnot, but he didn't have an answer for the ground and pound for Dennis Bermudez. I think Bermudez always has this problem of getting hit too clean. And that's going to cost him in the future. But he has really strong wrestling. It'll be very interesting to see what he does at 145. He can fight. There's some good fights for him. The winner of Pineda versus Mike Thomas Brown, or the winner of Hades versus Sylar. There's other fights for him. I'm just kind of throwing names out there right now. Garza, I think it's 2 losses in a row now. I think he lost to Poirier and now to Bermudez. So, good win for Bermudez here, for sure. Okay. Now the Facebook fights. Roland DeLorme beat Nick Denis by rear naked choke in the first round. 4 minutes, 59 seconds is the first round. Good comeback for DeLorme here. Denis, I think he had him. Good chin shown by Delorme. I liked that when Denis went to scramble, how he took the back. That was really slick to me. It's a little thing I don't think a lot of people noticed, but I found it to be pretty slick. Tough, there's at 135, 2-fight winning streak. I can't really think of who can fight at this moment, but maybe Bedford. Actually, Bedford was supposed to fight Denis. Delorme versus Bedford would be interesting. And finally, Carlos Mola beat Mike Masentia by rear naked choke. This is a case of two lower tier fighters fighting. Really, Masentia, he lost to Paul Harris before that, or did he beat Cantwell? I forgot. Mike Masentia is kind of a lower tier guy. He's a tough guy. Good wrestling, okay stand up. But he is always a game fighter. For Mola, here's the thing: he has no technique in his stand up, but he hits hard. Man, this guy's huge, and but his cardio is crap. That's the thing. Good win for him. I was hoping to see him win, and he did. Just fight more lower tiers in the division. So that's pretty much it for my UFC on Fox 3 post-fight analysis. If you have any comments, just leave them below. That's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.